The meeting room was silent when Jake concluded his presentation. The screen displayed the impressive numbers from the last quarter of the Sullivan family's investment firm. At 33, Jake had proven himself more than competent as the chief financial officer of the company founded by his grandfather. However, while the executives collected their materials and left the room with formal praises, he remained seated, gazing through the panoramic window at the bustling city below. "Son, that was excellent." Robert Sullivan, his father, placed a hand on his shoulder. "We're having dinner with the Richardsons on Saturday. Their daughter has returned from a long trip. Maybe you'd like to meet her." Jake forced a smile. "Dad, don't start." "It's just a dinner, Jake. Elizabeth graduated from a good university and works with art. You have a lot in common. Like the last 10 women you and Mum tried to set me up with." Jake closed the laptop more forcefully than necessary. "I'm sure she's amazing, but I don't need another arranged date." His father sighed, adjusting his impeccable tie. "We just want your happiness. At 33, I already had you and your sister." "Different times, Dad." Jake packed his belongings in the leather briefcase. "When I meet the right person, I'll know." "And how are you going to find her locked up in this office?" Robert checked his watch. "Think about dinner. Your mother would be happy." After his father's departure, Jake watched the city through the window. The late afternoon sun illuminated the glass and steel buildings. His life seemed perfectly organized. The penthouse apartment, the luxury cars, the international trips. He had everything money could buy, except something that wasn't for sale. Someone who loved him for who he was, not for the Sullivan name or the bank account. His phone vibrated with a message from Thomas, his best friend since college. "Don't forget the meeting at 7 p.m. Julie is perfect for you. Restaurant Le Ciel. Don't be late." Jake rolled his eyes. Another blind date. Thomas was one of the few friends he had kept from his college days. He probably meant well, but Jake was tired of the same script. Women dazzled by his status, superficial conversations about trips to exclusive destinations, and the inevitable moment they realized the worth of his family. Reluctantly, he grabbed his car keys from his pocket and headed to the elevator. Maybe this time would be different. The underground parking lot was partially empty when Jake got into his car. He checked the time, 6 p.m. He would have time to get to the restaurant, even with the traffic. Distracted, he typed the address into the GPS while maneuvering towards the exit. That's when he heard it. The sound of a horn and a dull thud against the side of his car. He braked abruptly, feeling his heart race. He hurried out of the vehicle to find a young woman fallen next to an overturned motorcycle. Beside her, a smashed cardboard box revealed what seemed to have been an elaborate fruit tart now scattered across the asphalt. "Oh my God, are you okay?" Jake rushed to help her. The young woman took off her helmet, revealing brown hair tied in a messy bun and dark eyes glaring at him with fury. "Don't you watch where you're driving? I'm so sorry, I was distracted by your phone." She tried to stand up, grimacing as she put weight on her right leg. "Perfect. Just perfect." Jake offered support, but she refused. He watched as the young woman examined the motorcycle. The fender was dented and there were deep scratches on the side. "Won't start," she murmured, after several attempts to ignite the engine. She looked at the ruined pie and let out a sigh of frustration. "It was a special order for a birthday. How am I going to explain this now?" Jake genuinely felt bad. "I'm really sorry. I will cover all the costs, both for the bike and the pie." The young woman looked at him with suspicion. She wore a simple uniform, black pants, a white shirt, and an apron with a bakery logo. Her eyes, despite the anger, had an impressive clarity. "I don't have any money with me right now," Jake admitted, "but give me your contact and we can meet to sort this out. Or we can call a tow truck, and it doesn't need a tow truck." She examined the motorcycle again. "It's damaged, but I can push it to the bakery. It's not far." "Let me help you then." "You've already helped a lot. Write down my number. I'm going to need a quote from the workshop." Jake saved her number in his cell phone contacts. "My name is Jake Sullivan." Jennifer Reeves. Contact me and I'll send you the invoice as soon as the budget is ready. I can give you a ride to the bakery. Jennifer looked at the luxury car and then at the ruined pie. No, thank you. I'd rather go alone. As he watched her push the motorcycle away, Jake checked his watch. 6:25 p.m. He would be late for the meeting, but that seemed insignificant compared to what had just happened. He got into the car, with the image of Jennifer's accusing eyes still fresh in his mind. The meeting with Julie was exactly as Jake had anticipated. She was attractive, polite, and completely superficial. The conversation revolved around her latest vacation destinations, the new spa she was attending, and how she had met Thomas at a charity event where everyone important was. So, Sullivan Investments is your company? She asked between sips of 200 a bottle champagne. My family's, Jake corrected, toying with his fork. My grandfather founded it. Fascinating. Thomas mentioned that you have properties in several countries. Jake nodded, disinterested. His thoughts wandered to Jennifer and her damaged bike. There was something genuine about her anger, in the way she didn't try to hide her frustration. Something refreshing. Jake, are you listening to me? Sorry, he smiled without enthusiasm. I'm a bit tired. Long day. By the end of the night, they exchanged empty promises of meeting again. Jake knew he wouldn't call, and suspected she wouldn't care either, if he weren't a Sullivan. A week passed and Jake ended up forgetting to get in touch with Jennifer, the girl he had run over. He was in his office when his mother, Eleanor Sullivan, entered without knocking, elegant as always in her sophisticated outfit. How was the dinner with the Richardsons' daughter? Jake continued typing. I didn't go. Jake! Eleanor sat down in front of his desk. Your father was disappointed. Elizabeth is an excellent match. Mum, I'm 33 years old. I don't need arranged dates. Eleanor sighed, studying her son. Despite his impeccable appearance, bespoke suit, perfectly cut hair, she noticed the fatigue in his eyes. You seem unhappy, dear. Jake finally stopped typing. I'm fine, just tired of empty relationships. I understand your frustration. She adjusted a strand of perfectly dyed hair. When I met your father, many said I was only interested in the Sullivans' money. And how did he know it wasn't true? Because when your grandfather temporarily lost everything in 1987, I stayed. I sold my jewelry to help with the restart. She smiled at the memory. True love remains in difficult times. That conversation planted a seed in Jake's mind. That night, while watching the city lights from his apartment balcony, an idea emerged. What if he tested who truly cared about him, not his money? The next day, he composed a message. Hello, how have you been? I'm a bit upset because my family's business is sinking, and I'm practically broke. Could we meet to talk? He sent it to all the female contacts on his phone, ex-girlfriends, friends, casual acquaintances, more than 100 women. The die is cast, he muttered to himself as he pressed the send button. The replies started coming in throughout the day. Most followed a predictable pattern. I'm sorry, Jake. I'm super busy with work right now. That's a shame. Let me know when things get better. Wow, what a difficult situation. Unfortunately, I'm traveling. Some didn't even bother to respond. Jake wasn't really surprised. He just confirmed what he already suspected. Then, in the late afternoon, a different message appeared. I'm sorry to hear about your situation. I can meet you today at 6 p.m. at the Sweet Home Bakery, Jennifer. Jake frowned, confused. Jennifer? It took a few seconds for him to remember, the young woman on the motorcycle. He had completely forgotten to contact her about the damage. He felt embarrassed by the oversight, but also curiously excited about the response. Sweet Home Bakery was a cozy establishment on a tree-lined corner. Glass display cases showcased colourful pies and elaborate cakes. The aroma of freshly ground coffee and caramelized sugar filled the air. Warm yellow lights hung from the ceiling, creating an inviting atmosphere. Small wooden tables occupied the interior space, and a few others were scattered along the sidewalk under a striped awning. Jennifer was cleaning a table when Jake walked in. She wore the same uniform as on the day of the accident, but now her hair was down, framing her face in soft waves. "Hi," Jake said, feeling oddly nervous. "Thank you for meeting me." Jennifer looked up, surprised. "I thought you had completely forgotten. I'm sorry for not getting in touch earlier." He sat in the chair she indicated. "It was irresponsible of me." Jennifer nodded, studying him. "So, your business is sinking?" Jake felt a knot in his stomach. The message, his test, now seemed manipulative and childish. "About that? Look, if you can't afford to pay for the motorcycle repair right now, we can find a solution." Jennifer sat in front of him. "I understand that financial crises can catch anyone by surprise." The genuine kindness in her voice caught him off guard. There was no pity or disdain, just understanding. "Actually, Jake hesitated. "This was a misunderstanding. I'm not broke." Jennifer tilted her head, confused. "But your message?" A young employee approached with a tray. "I brought your coffee, Jen, and the walnut cake you ordered." "Thank you, Miguel." She smiled at the young man before turning to Jake. "I thought you were in trouble. Why would you say something like that?" Jake watched the coffee being served, buying time to organize his thoughts. The steam spiraled up from the dark liquid, reminding him of the complications he had created. "It was a test," he finally admitted, unable to lie in the face of her sincerity. "I sent the same message to several people to see who really cared about me, not my money." Jennifer stared at him for a long moment. "That's unusual." "It sounded better in my head," Jake admitted, embarrassed. "You were the only one who offered to help, even thinking I was in trouble." "Because you owed me money," Jennifer pointed out, picking up her coffee. "It wasn't exactly altruism." "Even so, most people completely disappeared when they thought I was broke." Jennifer tasted the cake. "And why does that matter so much? Having people who only get close because of your money?" "My family has a certain status. It's hard to know who truly cares about me." "And did this test solve that?" "Not in the way I expected." Jake finally relaxed his shoulders. "It made me realize that I'm looking for genuine connections in the wrong places." Jennifer studied him for a moment. "The shop estimated the repair. The pie was a special order." Jake blinked at the change of subject. "Sure. Tell me the amount and I can transfer the payment right away." "There's no need," Jennifer said, surprising him. "I already took care of the repair. The mechanic is my uncle. As for the pie, I made another one the next day." "But I insist on paying. It was my fault." Jennifer shrugged. "Consider it settled." "You seemed genuinely sorry." Jake watched her with growing curiosity. There was something refreshing about her openness, her lack of pretense. "At least let me pay for the coffee and cake." "It's on the house." She smiled slightly. "Technically, I am the house. I opened this place with my mother 6 months ago. It's a charming place." Jake looked around, noting the cozy details and the diverse clientele. "How has the experience been?" Jennifer's face lit up. "Challenging. We've had other businesses before, but none really took off. This time it feels different. People are coming back, bringing friends." The conversation flowed naturally from there. Jennifer talked about her childhood constantly moving due to her father's failed enterprises, who had passed away 5 years earlier. She spoke about her dream of creating a space where people could feel at home, even if just for a few moments. Jake shared his own insecurities, the weight of family expectations, the loneliness despite constant company. The sun set as they talked, and the bakery's lights created an even more intimate atmosphere. "I need to close the register," Jennifer finally said, noticing they were the last ones in the establishment. "Of course, I don't want to intrude." "You're not intruding." She hesitated briefly. It was surprisingly pleasant talking to you, Jake smiled. Can we do it again, without excuses of accidents or bankruptcies? Jennifer seemed to consider for a moment. Maybe. I'm here every day except Mondays. In the following weeks, Jake became a regular customer at Sweet Home Bakery. Initially, he would come just for a quick coffee, exchanging a few words with Jennifer. Gradually, his visits extended. They began walking together after closing, exploring the neighborhood while talking about books, movies, and dreams. On one of these walks, Jennifer showed Jake her favorite place in the city, a small park with a lake where swans swam placidly. Sitting on a worn-out bench, they watched the sunset tint the water orange. My father used to bring me here when I was little, she said, her voice soft with the memory. He said that one day we would have our own house overlooking the lake. He seemed like a dreamer. Was. He never gave up, even when he should have. Jennifer smiled sadly. I think I inherited that from him. It's an admirable quality. Not always. Sometimes it means not knowing when to stop. She looked at Jake. And you? What did you inherit from your parents? Jake reflected. My father's determination, the sense of responsibility, and maybe a bit of my mother's distrust. So the bankruptcy test, Jennifer teased gently. It wasn't my brightest moment, Jake admitted, laughing, but it led me to you, so I can't completely regret it. Jennifer blushed slightly, turning her gaze to the lake. You know what's funny? If you really were bankrupt, we probably would have gotten closer more quickly. I wouldn't have to keep wondering about your intentions. You wonder about my intentions? It's hard not to think about it. We are from different worlds, Jake. He touched her hand gently. Not so different after all. That night, under the starry sky, Jake leaned in and kissed her for the first time. It was a soft, hesitant kiss, full of tenderness. 2 years later, on a sunny afternoon, the Sweet Home Bakery was decorated with white flowers and silver ribbons. Tables had been rearranged to accommodate the guests who gathered to celebrate the wedding of Jennifer and Jake. In the corner of the bakery, a photo exhibition told their story. Jake helping to paint the walls when the bakery expanded into the space next door. Jennifer visiting the Sullivan Company for the first time, the two laughing while making cakes together, the renovation of the old house by the lake they had bought together. Eleanor Sullivan approached her daughter-in-law, radiant in her simple yet elegant wedding dress. Dear, everything is perfect. Thank you for all the help, Jennifer smiled, nervously adjusting her bouquet. I still can't believe we managed to organize everything in 3 months. The important thing is that you both are happy. Eleanor looked at her son, who was cheerfully chatting with Jennifer's mother on the other side of the hall. I've never seen him so fulfilled. He changed my life, Jennifer admitted. When we met, I could barely keep this place running. And now there are 3 branches. Eleanor smiled proudly. Jake told me it was all your merit. It was a partnership. He believed in my vision when I suggested the expansion. The music changed, signaling the start of the ceremony. As she walked toward Jake, Jennifer reflected on the unlikely path that had brought them there. An accident, a well-intentioned lie, and the courage to be authentic with each other. Jake was waiting for her with a smile that lit up his eyes. When she reached his side, he whispered, "The only one who stayed when I thought I had nothing." Jennifer squeezed his hand. Amid the applause of the guests, they sealed their union with a kiss that symbolized not just love, but the promise of a life built on honesty, respect, and the certainty that they had found in each other a true home. The girl on the motorcycle who was accidentally run over had become not only the wife of a millionaire, but a successful businesswoman, living proof that the most meaningful encounters in life often happen when we least expect them, and with the most unlikely people. If you enjoyed the story, please leave a comment with a rating from 1 to 5 to show how much you liked it. Also, watch the video that is now appearing on your screen. See you soon.